One world currency.
The New World Order.
Those are the roots of trouble.
I imagine that right now you're feeling a bit like Alice, tumbling down the rabbit hole. Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. But I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people.
And now, welcome to another episode of Down the Rabbit Hole. Here's your host from federaljack.com. It's Popeye.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition. Today is Friday, December 21st, 2012. Oh no, run for the hills. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. We're late. The end of the world is late. We only have 2 hours left, and it's not here yet. It was supposed to be here at 6 a.m., actually 6:11 a.m. this morning. I was having this conversation actually the other day with somebody, and I said, whose time zone do we go by for the end of the world? Well, apparently we're supposed to go by Mexico's. Duh. Right? Duh. So, going by Mexico's time zone, it would have been, I think, 5:11 there, so that would have been 6:11 here, where I am, on the East Coast of the United States. So, yeah, we're about 12 and a half hours late for the end of the world. Apparently the end of the world is just like the government, not on time and very inefficient. So, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I did not think the end of the world would be today. Hopefully it's the end of an age of stupidity. Perhaps trying to feed off of that energy of the end of an age and the change of thinking, perhaps, and whatever else, ascension, whatever else people want to call it. Perhaps that's why there's this push in the media, and amongst other reasons, obviously it's an agenda, but that might be something too that they're trying to play off of is the energy, especially since they're using emotional energy. And we're going to get into that tonight. And what I'm talking about is the mainstream media and politicians' reaction to the horrific shooting last week, which I've gone over multiple times, as have other hosts and shows here on the network. And they're pushing this rabid anti-gun agenda. When I say rabid, the media's job is supposed to report things. They're not supposed to actually take a side. They're supposed to report it independently, I guess you could say. They're supposed to just report it as it is, the facts. The viewer is supposed to be the person that makes the decision. But that's not how it works. And over the years, the propaganda machine has gotten worse and worse and worse to the point where now it's just completely out of control. I mean, it's just out of hand. We don't even have news anymore. We have these talking heads, these figures that are put up there because they have certain qualities. People like Sean Hannity, because he can repeat things and he's got a specific way of talking in a certain tone. His tone, even when he's pissed off, he keeps his tone to a certain to a certain level. And he's a master at NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. And if you don't know what it is, I suggest you look it up because it's used on you every day. And if you think, oh, you're just being some kooky conspiracy theorist, well, you need to pull your head out of your ass because it's used on you every day. And I bring up Sean Hannity as an example because, A, he does NLP all the time, and 2, does anybody even know where Sean Hannity came from? Does anybody know where this guy came from at all? Anybody remember where he was on TV before 9/11? Oh, that's right, you can't, because he got his debut on television on the morning of 9/11 on Fox News. Any questions? Didn't think so. Okay, so obviously we have a media who, they're not independent journalists, they're not watchdogs, they're lapdogs. If they're dogs at all, they're lapdogs. They're definitely not watchdogs. And they follow whatever the government tells them to do. They've become another wing of the federal government, the propaganda arm. And you have people like Soledad O'Brien on CNN who attacked a guest over the Second Amendment. Let me tell you something. Soledad O'Brien, that woman has about enough brain power in her head that if you could siphon it into electricity, you would just barely have enough to make toast. Okay? She has just enough brain power that they could put her on television and she could just about hold her own speaking. But if she gets into a debate with somebody, there's no real argument there. And for people that don't understand, argument doesn't mean screaming and yelling back and forth. You can have a debate, an argument, an educated argument, without screaming and yelling, bringing differing opinions to the table. Okay? They can't have an educated argument. They can't. None of these news people can. Whatever you want to call them, repeaters. Piers Morgan, or as my buddy Tim calls him, Piss Morgan. Piss. Ugh. Piers Morgan. Don't worry, you little British tart. You're in my crosshairs tonight too, buddy. No pun intended. You're on the list. You're gonna get it too. Tired of your crap, anti-American a-hole. You need to get rid of your guns. You know what we need to do? We need to ban you, Piers. I say we ban Piers Morgan because he's dangerous to the children of this country. Because he's trying to convince parents that you shouldn't let your kids be defended. Instead, he's trying to convince you that you're wrong for even having a gun. And that you're wrong for being an American for so many reasons. Because he's a superior British tart. I don't want to get too sidetracked on him yet. I don't want to. He's a subject in his own right. I would really, really like to get locked in a room with me, Piers Morgan, and a baseball bat. Man, I would have a little fun. I'd have him screaming the virtues of the Second Amendment in about 15 minutes. Anyway, these supposed media heads, these talking heads, they go out there and they try to formulate. When I say they formulate your opinion, they do. You don't even realize that that's what they're for. Why do you think there's again this appeal to emotion? They're trying to make you feel bad. It's like guilt tripping you. They did the same thing in England. I've played the clips multiple times now. You heard people in England say, "Don't be shamed into doing it." The media shamed us. It was a nonstop barrage from the media and the government, and we just went right along with it. And you see people doing that now. Now they're doing it with these kids turning in their video games. There's this kid he decided he came up with an idea at a funeral. He lives in the town there, Newton. And he decided he's going to turn in his video games. Actually, not even turn them in, destroy his first-person shooter and violent video games. And he's urging all these other kids to do it. And they're trying to collect it. And the mainstream media, CNN has been picking it up. Now you say, Popeye, what's wrong with that? I thought you are talking about the video games and how they're a problem. They are part of the problem, but they're not the problem. And CNN focusing on this kid getting rid of his violent video games and destroying them isn't about a solution. They're not about going after the video games. Otherwise, they would do an actual in-depth report on it. No. this little fluff piece that they put out there, that is mind control. Okay, that is propaganda. You know what it's for? It's so that they can say to you, you know what? Everybody has to give a little. Everybody has to give in. Nobody can get 100%. So in order for the safety of the children, the safety of the country, this young child is turning in his video games. You should turn in your guns. That's what that is. And if you think that's crazy for me to say that, it's not. They're getting you ready to turn things in. So they'll start with the violent video games. And what they'll do is, I'm not saying that CNN formulated this and it's fake. No, I'm not saying that at all. This kid, honestly, from what I can see, he came up with it on his own. That's all well and good. It's in his reaction to it. At least he's trying to take a negative and make a positive. That's a good thing for the child to be taught. But shame on CNN for taking the story and running with it and using it for propaganda. Okay, it's not feel-good anything. It's not out there because they're trying to be nice. They're playing on your emotions. They're playing on your emotions. Let's get something straight. The Second Amendment, not once, ever, was about hunting or sports shooting. Okay? So people understand, because I know there's a lot of people that maybe don't get this, but back in the day when the Second Amendment was written, in the 1700s, the time of the founding of the country, if you didn't hunt, you didn't eat. I mean, yeah, you could have, I'm sure they had vegetarians back then, you could have eaten some plants or something, but, I mean, if you didn't hunt, you didn't eat. There wasn't ShopRite or Publix or Food Town or whatever other food store you go to, Safeway, whatever. There wasn't any of those around. You know, John Hancock didn't ride around in a cart, you know, picking people up and taking them to the store on a schedule. You know, there might have been a baker or, you know, someone like that, but there wasn't a big food store where everybody just went and got their food. There wasn't a 24-hour Walmart. So if you didn't hunt, you didn't eat. You didn't eat, you didn't survive. So hunting wasn't even a question. It wasn't a question in their mind. So when you hear, well, I'm not trying to take away your hunting rights, but that Second Amendment has nothing to do with hunting or sport shooting. Well, yes, it does. That's what it's for. No, it's not. And that brings up my next point about appeal to emotion. CNN, and I won't play it, but CNN aired a video last night, and the reason why I won't play it is because I won't play the appeal to emotion that it is, okay? And I'm not going to drag the little girl into it because I would be sinking down to CNN's level. But Anderson Cooper, and I don't know if this was staged. I'm not saying that the little girl didn't write it, but I'm sure they went out and found it and made a big deal to make sure Anderson could read it on air. And the way he read it was, I'm sure, was not spontaneous, although it was made to look so. But he read this little girl's letter. I guess she's the sister of one of the victims. And she said that the Second Amendment, Obama should, and CNN's like, oh my God, this little girl says Obama should use his executive powers. She didn't say that. It was this little, she's like 6 or 7 years old. It was this little handwritten note. And she said in the note that he should, she didn't say he should use his executive order. She just said he should ban guns. And if people want to shoot for sport, then they could go to the shooting range and shoot at the shooting range and leave the guns there. Now, a lot of people go, oh, the little girl. You know what? Yeah, you're right. The little girl. That is correct. But shame on CNN for putting that in your face and trying to take away your right to protect yourself using the 6-year-old's note, okay? It's disgusting. You people should be ashamed of yourselves. And anybody that goes, oh, Popeye, you picking on the girl? No, that's a straw man argument. I'm picking on CNN. I have no malice towards the little girl. She's 6 years old. Of course she's going to write that. She's emotional. And she's got all these adults around her. I'm sure she's heard guns, 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 guns. She doesn't understand the complexities of politics or the Second Amendment or anything like that. She's a little girl who lost somebody she loves. She's upset. I don't have anything against her. I feel bad for her. My heart breaks for that little girl. Who I have a problem with are the dirtbags at CNN that aired it to make you feel bad. Okay? You should feel bad because you want the right to protect yourself. Oh, come off it. Gun crimes in this country would go down if you gave in your guns like they did in Britain. No, Piers, they wouldn't. Okay? It's a statistical fact that you're an effing liar when you say that. Okay? And if you say it once, and then your producers come up to you and say, hey, man, that's wrong, because obviously that's what the producers are supposed to do. Okay? They shouldn't let you go on for days and days and days, like a week now at least, saying how crime in the UK has gone down since Britain banned their guns. That's an all-out lie. Same thing in Australia, all-out lie. See, if you compare the numbers, the amount of violent crimes, right, in the UK to the amount of violent crimes in the United States, well, of course the number's going to be higher because we have more people. Duh. But if you look at it on a percentage level, the UK's got worse crime statistics. Okay? Like on a per capita level, I guess you could say. The other night I read the article on air from 2009, just 3 years ago, and it was, if I remember correctly, it was from the Telegraph over in the UK. And what did they say? The UK had the worst gun crime in all of Europe. Oh, I thought it was the safest. I thought the crime rate, it wasn't just gun crime, excuse me, it was crime in general, and then gun crimes were one of the subcategories. But Piers, I'm sorry, whatever your name is. I thought we'll just call you Morgan, or I don't want to call you Mr. Morgan because Mr. is too nice to we'll get into that in a second. The point is, you're a liar. Okay, you're a bald-faced liar coming on American television telling the American taxpayers that guilting them out, you should feel bad because you want to own a gun. You know who Piers reminds me of? That old dude at 3 o'clock in the morning that guilts you out, the Christian, whatever the hell it is, the fake Sally Struthers crap. The guy's, he's kind of heavy set. He's got a white beard, balding. You know who I'm talking about. I know the listeners have seen this guy. He's at 3 o'clock in the morning. He comes on TV. Oh, I know you've been wanting to give money, but you've just been too busy. You know, you got sidetracked, and little here has flies on his face because you didn't donate $1. That's the same garbage. It's the same kind of, appeal to your emotion, playing on your you're trying to create this false guilt inside of you. It's not any responsible gun owner's fault that those kids were killed. And to try to make it so is despicable. Okay? I don't get mad at the people out there that are like, yeah, we should kill people in the NRA and all that. I don't get mad at people like that. They are misinformed and they're ignorant, okay? And they're emotional. And why are they emotional? Because the mainstream media and the politicians are stoking their emotions. Let's get something straight, okay? No organization, none, I don't care what it is. I don't care what it is, what they say their goal is, government, agency, whatever, I don't care, okay? Let's get something straight about any of these organizations. If they cared about any of us at all, the first thing they would have done is come on TV and try to calm everybody down and say, calm down, look, this is a horrible mess. We're going to try to figure out what happened. Let's not jump to conclusions and just start to blame guns or blame individuals or blame this or blame that. Everybody calm down and let's deal with the tragedy right now. Let's be there for the families, and then we can work through this together. Okay, we can, we'll be strong together. Nope, that's not what they did. That's not what they did at all. At all. The bodies weren't even cold, and the politicians were up at their podiums screaming for gun control, higher capacity magazines, which I've played testimony from people like Susanna Hupp. Oh, by the way, I'm going to play some audio from her. She schooled CNN today. She took CNN and what's her name, Brooke Baldwin or something like that. She's one of the repeaters that they have on there, the little pretty faces that they hire. As long as you look cute, that's what they worry about. Because remember, sex sells. Half the time, I know guys that tune into Fox News strictly for the bimbos that give the news. But man, did you see that one girl on Fox? She's a knockout. Yeah, so that's really great way to judge your information that you're basing, life decisions off of, is whether or not the idiot presenting it to you has a great pair of tits. Good way to, good discernment, morons. Think about it. You're being played. Why do you think they put girls in, uber hot looking women in lingerie and stuff and catalogs and stuff, or they use models. You'll see a commercial with a girl in a bikini or something, and she's modeling something or advertising something that's got nothing to do with a girl in a bikini. Why? Because sex sells. They use the same method in the media. And right now it's been all appeal to emotion. Oh my God. You're a horrible person if you want guns after these poor children's death. I mean, how stupid do you have to be to buy into that? You got to be pretty ignorant. I'm not picking on the people that buy into it. I understand the level of ignorance, but I mean, you really have to be ignorant. Think about the argument. Their argument is, because a bunch of people were shot, everybody should give up their guns. That way nobody will be shot again. But the bad guys won't give up their guns. And the police and governments aren't going to give up their guns. So the only people that they want and expect to give up their guns are you and me, the citizens, the average, everyday, law-abiding people. And I see this. That's why when people say that this is all liberal logic, and no, that's a red herring. Liberal logic. I mean, yes, there are people of the liberal mindset that are idiots and have no idea, but this is an anti-gun agenda that comes up from a bigger thing, and it's just being pushed using those morons on that side of the aisle. If it were something else that needed to be pushed from the right side, it'd be pushed from the right. And I see a lot of people getting caught in this left-right thing, you freaking liberals, blah, 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 blah. No, man. This is a well-planned-out effort. Not the shooting itself. Like I said, the evidence doesn't point that to me, but the aftermath, the reaction to it is what is really a thought-out agenda. Like I said, those people weren't even dead an hour, and the politicians were already screaming for gun control. So who's really the scumbag, the gun owner or the politician trying to benefit from this tragic event? We'll be right back. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Do not buy into the appeal to emotion. Guns do not kill people. Popeye, you're crazy. I see it on TV all the time. Someone pulls a trigger and someone gets shot and they die. Okay, let me explain something to you. The gun didn't kill the person. The person squeezing the trigger and aiming the gun killed the person. Blaming the gun takes away the blame from the person that actually did it. And it allows for people that have an agenda to push it. The gun is an inanimate object. It does not have any reason. It does not have any wit. It does not have any self-thought. It's not self-aware. It is not artificial intelligence. The gun does not wake up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, go to the refrigerator, pull itself out a beer, drink it, get drunk, and then walk into a convenience store and start shooting people. That's not the way it works. That's insane to think that. But people have been programmed through fear. Remember, fear is a great motivator. I've talked about this before. They use fear to control the powers that shouldn't be. And they get people afraid. My good friend Ken Hildebrand, he's a host here on his network. He's talked about a story that one time somebody in his family, and I don't quite remember who it was, but it was one of his family members, and it was a woman, and she was deathly afraid of guns. And she came over for dinner one night, and Ken took his gun out and put it on the table and left it on the table the whole night while they were sitting there, having dinner and coffee and everything. Just left it in the corner. Now, I don't even think the gun was loaded. I think it was unloaded, but that's not the point. He let it sit on the table, and she was freaking out and everything. Oh, my God, why is that here? And Ken did it to prove a point. He put it on the table, and he said, I'm just going to leave it here, and I'm going to just watch what happens. So a couple hours later, at the end of the night, the gun hadn't killed anybody, and he pointed out, look, the gun hasn't gotten him off the table and shot anyone. You notice? By itself, it hasn't killed anybody. So the point was made. It was shown that if you put a gun on the table, the gun's not going to get up and start randomly shooting people. It requires a human being to operate it. Do we blame cars when there are car accidents? Do we go out and say, we got to ban cars when, a busload of kids gets hit by a train? It happens. Do we ban trains? Do we ban cars? Do we go on this national kick to try to, have train tracks removed from all over the United States of America? No. We lose way more people in a week to heart disease than we lost at the massacre. And I'm not trying to say that they're any less important than anybody else, but what about all the people that die each in a week or in a day of heart disease? Is there a war on heart disease? Do we have a ban on, trans fats? Do we have a ban on? And you could say, well, they're working on that, the nanny state. No, they're not. They're not. First of all, if they were a nanny state and they really did give a crap about you, they're definitely not going after anything that they should. All the crap and garbage that's in the food. The nanny state isn't really about being a nanny state. See, I don't like that term, the nanny state, because it ain't the nanny state. That's not what this is about. This isn't about having an overprotective mother looking over your shoulder and you're like, Ma, leave me alone. Let me be a man. Ma, leave me alone. No, that's not what this is about. This is about they don't want you to be able to defend yourself. Perfect movie. I've played it on air before. Clips from it. And I'm just going to have to play the full audio. I'm going to have to give up one of my shows and play the full audio for you guys so you can hear it. It's called Innocence Betrayed. The true story of gun control. Now, I've talked about it on air. I've played clips before from it. I've played, I have it posted actually up on federaljack.com. If you go to Federal Jack, just go to the search bar and type in Innocence Betrayed. It's in there as one of the posts I have up there. Full length. Watch that movie. Get an idea as to what happens to people when they can't defend themselves. Oh, Popeye, you're crazy. Our government would never do that. Really? You think so? FEMA camps, NDAA, martial law. No, they would never, ever. LRADs, police departments getting military-grade weapons. No, they would never. No, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm the crazy one because I can see what's going on. Part of the reason that they haven't done anything yet, when people go, well, we're not rounded up yet. I can still go to my job and I can still drive around and do this. And I'm not saying that overnight they would round people up. I've discussed this. They might get certain people, but they wouldn't be able to get everybody. But the point is, the reason why you don't even see that level of things yet is because we still have the Second Amendment. If we didn't have the Second Amendment, we'd be way far past where we are now. Way farther down the line. The founders did not found this country, okay, thinking that it was going to be what it is today. I don't think they didn't understand that. I don't think they got the concept that this small group of individuals, the powers that shouldn't be, were going to be able to manipulate society as a whole. They really expected the American public to step up and get involved. I can guarantee you they're rolling in their graves right now. Because this country is nothing what it was. There's a lot of good people in this country, but this country has become a nation of cowards. And I'm going to get hate mail for saying that, but we have become a country of cowards. We have allowed the powers that shouldn't be to convince us, and not, when I say us, I don't mean myself in general or my friends or a lot of the listeners. I know the people, the ones of you out there that are smart, but as the country as a whole has been pussified. And now people don't know how to deal with things. They're freaking out. Take my guns, take my rights to protect me. They use an emotional event. Remember, like Rahm Emanuel said, never let a good crisis go to waste. These people are masters at what they do. They wouldn't, whether or not they stage the event is a separate issue. And I'm not saying it's not something that doesn't need to be investigated, or we need to. I said this the other day. We need to investigate that. But the reaction to it is a complete separate event. Just like with 9/11 or the BP oil spill or anything else, okay? The event itself and the reaction are two different separate criminal events, okay? And a lot of times, yes, they are responsible for both. But in this case, I can, without a shadow of a doubt, I can tell you that the response is their agenda. Whether or not they set off the incident to push their agenda, it's still, at least in my eyes, still to be determined. I haven't seen the concrete smoking gun 100% proof evidence that whole thing was pulled off by some government agency or mind controlled idiot, which that does happen, but in this case it might not. It might be a real tragic event that they're capitalizing off of. And they are capitalizing off of, or at least trying to capitalize off of it, I should say. They're trying to push this appeal to emotion. They're trying to get people so upset. Like Holder said, that's why I played the clip the last Friday, the night, the day it happened, that night. It's one of the first clips I played, because remember I played a bunch of audio where guns had saved lives and some other stuff. But one of the clips I played for you was Eric Holder in 1995 saying we have to brainwash people. We have to change the way they think about guns. We have to make them think about guns the same way they think about cigarettes. So he wants gun owners to be treated like lepers, just like the way cigarette smokers are treated now. So all of you that aren't gun owners, that are cigarette smokers, and you bitch that you're made to feel like a leper because you want to have a cigarette and, I got to go outside and everything else. Well, Holder in that clip was making fun of you for standing outside. Like you all ran outside and are hiding outside together, smoking your cigarettes. You don't want anybody to know that you're a smoker. That's not the way of things at all. But see, that's the way he's trying to push his message. And he wants other people to push the message the same way. It's propaganda. We want to mind control people against guns. Remember, that's what he said. Or, excuse me, we want to brainwash people against guns, which is a form of mind control. But they want to formulate people's opinions. They want to make it so that, it's icky to own a gun now. Ew, you own a gun? Ew. And believe me, I've seen that. I've seen it where people, you have a gun? Oh, you have guns? Really? Or you like guns? Or you talk about guns? I've seen people react like that in situations to other people. I have a friend down here. He's not dating this girl anymore. He was dating her at the time, and some of her friends were members of the Occupy Miami crowd. And they came over to their place for dinner one night, and he has an AR-15, and he has it in his bedroom against the wall with a magazine in it, home defense. And they saw it, I guess, through the bedroom door or whatever. I guess it was open, and they saw it. And they freaked out, and they called the police. And the cops show up, and they were like, well, we need to speak to her, meaning the girlfriend, because her friends are saying that you're holding her at gunpoint against her will. And the girlfriend had to come out and explain that her friends were just being a bunch of idiots and that she was fine, and the cops left. And before the cops left, the cops actually had to explain to these kids that, hey, you're allowed to have guns. And they said, no, it's illegal. Only you in the military can have guns. He's not allowed to. Aren't you going to arrest him? And the cop was like, no, it's not illegal. You're allowed to own guns. And they're trying to tell the cop that, no, it's illegal to own guns. No, it's not illegal to own guns. Not only bad guys have guns. See, that's brainwashing. That is brainwashing. That's hardcore brainwashing. Ooh, guns are, they're going to bite you and shoot your foot off and shoot your eye out and they're going to get you. That's stupid. And I've said this 100,000 times as well as other people. If guns kill people, spoons make people fat, and pencils misspell words. No, obviously the pencil doesn't misspell the word. It's the idiot that's using the pencil, right? because you don't. Does the pencil go to spelling class? You don't take the pencil to school and put it in the chair and sit it upright and tell it, I'll be back in 8 hours. Make sure everything's written out properly, right? No, you have to do that. The spoon that you're eating your cereal with, do you stare at it and go, feed me, and then just stare at the bowl and wait for the spoon to, fill itself up and then hover up out of the bowl and park itself in your face? No, you pick the spoon up, and your choice, your action is what causes the food to go onto the spoon and up into your face. See? Your action. Oh, look, personal responsibility. Oh, what a concept. Gee. Personal responsibility, ladies and gentlemen. Stop buying into the fear that they're putting out. There's nothing to be afraid of. Okay? There are bad people in the world that do bad things. And you know what? You have every right to be armed and ready to protect yourself against such a person. Because guess what? Serial killers aren't going to stop killing because there's gun laws. Rapists aren't going to stop raping because there's gun laws. Mass murderers aren't going to stop mass murdering people because there's gun laws. The only people that get effed are you, your loved ones, and the innocent people. That's it. The bad guys, they don't care about gun laws. It's the biggest fallacy in the planet. All right. I want to play this audio because next hour we're going to be getting into Piers Morgan, and I'm going to be getting sidetracked with him. I'm going to play the audio from him versus Larry Pratt. I want you to hear Larry Pratt tell him he's morally obtuse. And yes, Piers, you're a douche. But I want you guys to hear Susanna Hupp, who I played the audio. I played a couple clips of audio from her. This is a fresh clip of her today on CNN, schooling CNN about the Second Amendment. I mean, dude, she schools them. She schools them. Listen to this. I was laughing out loud, literally laughing out loud in my office when I heard this.
My next guest here is a longtime gun supporter from Texas. She is Susanna Hupp. She believes she could have saved her parents' lives if only she had not left her gun in the car. This was more than 20 years ago when she took her parents to Luby's cafeteria. This is back in Killeen, Texas. A man rammed his pickup into this cafeteria, opened fire, killing almost 24 people, including Susanna's parents. I want to welcome her. She is former Texas State Representative Susanna Hupp, joining me now from Austin, Texas. Wrote a book called From Luby's to the Legislature, One Woman's Fight Against Gun Control. So Susanna, welcome. I just want to hear more about what happened back in 1991. Take me inside this cafeteria. This gunman starts shooting. Your mother and father are killed. You felt helpless and hopeless, I imagine.
Well, it was extremely frustrating. I used to carry a gun, and at that time it was illegal in the state of Texas, but I was convinced to carry one by an assistant DA in the Houston area who told me, he said, Susanna, you don't see this stuff every day, but I do. So I carried one illegally for a number of years. My parents and I were at this local cafeteria in the middle of a beautiful day. This man drove his truck through a window and very methodically began executing people. But a few months earlier, I had begun leaving my gun in my car because I was worried about losing my license to practice chiropractic. A number of people, a number of victims had left their guns in their car that day. But of course, now we have changed that law in Texas and we can protect ourselves.
We brought you on, of course, because of what happened in Killeen, but also because of Newtown. And we heard from the NRA today. Wayne LaPierre says, let's put guns in every school. I read that you have 2 small children. You say, yes, let's arm the teachers or perhaps have an armed guard in each of these schools. My question then to you would be, are you not afraid that that would lead to more violence?
Oh, heavens. Well, first of all, let me correct you. I don't have 2 small children. I've got 2 big boys that are in high school, but I just picked them up. Yes, and they would be just as vulnerable as the kindergartners. I have firmly held that our teachers should be allowed to carry, and quite frankly, it frustrates the heck out of me that everyone here in Texas and in many states can protect themselves if they jump through the hoops and get a concealed carry permit. Why is it that my teachers are being treated like second-class citizens?
But what if the teacher's job is to teach? What if the teacher doesn't want to be armed? What if you have an armed guard? As I was reading back in Columbine, there was an armed guard. Just logistically speaking, what if that guard isn't at the right place at the right time and isn't there and can't prevent the shooting?
You're making my argument for me.
How is that?
That's exactly why people who want to be able to carry should be able to carry. I didn't say arm every teacher. I said anyone who wants to jump through the hoops and get a concealed carry permit should be able to and use it or carry it on campus. Let me make something or point something out that's just so painfully obvious to me. Where do all these mass shootings occur? These creeps go to places where they know they can shoot people like fish in a barrel. These mass shootings don't occur at gun shows, the dreaded gun show that I keep hearing so much about. They go to places where they can shoot people like fish in a barrel until the cops, bless their hearts, finally arrive.
Well, let's talk about then some of the weapons that this is happening when we look at the theaters, as you point out, these softer targets. We look at schools and we talk about these specific weapons that perhaps may be banned. We know that the president is assigned as vice president to come up with some proposals in a month, possibly in terms of gun control. And I know there are so very much so two sides of the story, but there are people saying ban the assault weapons, some going as far as saying ban the semi-automatic weapons. Why do you think this society needs to have weapons that should be just used on the battlefield?
Well, let's clarify, because I think people out there that are listening to this should understand something. Assault weapons is a made-up term. In fact, I think what it does is it leads people to think of a rapid-fire machine gun type of weapon. And in fact, I know a number of reporters that have spoken with me believe that very thing.
Don't they fire multiple bullets? Rapid fire?
No. And even you didn't know.
Dozens of bullets per minute? These are the numbers that I've seen.
The rapid-fire weapons have been banned in this country. They are illegal and have been banned since the 1930s. So this assault weapons, look it up. The assault weapons.
With all due respect, and you look at AR-15s, and you hear from people like Christiane Amanpour, who says these are military-style weapons. These are weapons that she's seen in wars and conflicts like Sarajevo. And you talk to people, and they say, why should they be used in Aurora and Oregon and here in Newtown?
It is not. You are misinformed.
I'm just presenting. I'm not opining. It's just other people's perspective, and we wanted to bring you on to explain just why these type of weapons, whatever you want to call them, why we need to have them in this society.
Why we need to have a semi-automatic or a revolver, because that's put in place so that people can defend themselves from bad guys. And what you are trying to do, or let me rephrase this, what the general media is trying to do is lead people to believe that this made-up term assault weapons refers to things that are on the street or are used in these mass shootings, and they're not.
With all due respect, I am a part of the media, and I'm not trying to lead anyone to believe anything. I'm just trying to get the facts, and we wanted to bring you on. Let me ask you about this, because part of what Wayne LaPierre didn't mention, he didn't mention the gun show loopholes. He didn't mention these massive ammo clips. When you look at the polls, the most recent CNN opinion research poll, if you do the math, basically more than 70% of Americans favor some sort of restrictions, right? So you have major, you have minor. My question to you would be, do you support any kind of restriction?
Any kind of restriction? Well,
sure. Ammo, background checks, any of it.
I support the restrictions that are currently in place, with the exception of restricting the areas that you can carry a weapon. And I will say again that the restrictions that are currently in place include rapid-fire weapons. Those have been illegal in this country since the 1930s. That's why I don't like that term assault weapon. It's a made-up term that misleads people.
Susanna Hupp, we just wanted you on to have.
Yeah, and she can't handle it, so she ends the interview. You see how the interviewer handled her? These aren't my opinions. I'm just repeating what somebody else's opinion is. Oh, so you can't even formulate your own, and you're repeating something from Christiane Amanpour, or however the frick you pronounce her last name. I can never pronounce it right. That woman is a globalist tool, okay? She is a globalist through and through, whatever the frick you want to call her, New World Order, Illuminati puppet, whatever. she's one of them. Okay, and no, you haven't seen a semi-automatic rifle mowing people down in fully automatic fashion. It's just a lie. You've seen fully automatic weapons. Get it right. Hour 1 up, hour 2 coming up. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with hour number 2 here on tonight's live edition of Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Popeye, from federaljack.com. It is December 21st, 2012. That is right, the dreaded end of the world. You know, I didn't, because I didn't get into the end of the world thing today. I'll probably get into this with Johnny English on Sunday. And that's right, ladies and gentlemen, Johnny's coming back. He's hanging out for 2 full hours this Sunday, 5 to 7 with me. But I wonder how many, I guess it'll have to wait till Sunday because it's probably going to take that long to find out how many morons killed themselves today. Or I wonder what the statistics are of people that went and drained their bank accounts or told their boss to F off, walked into work yesterday. Screw you, man. I've hated you. I've worked here for 20 years. F you. Blah, blah, blah. And he walks out thinking that, today's going to be the end of the world. And then today wasn't the end of the world. Or how many people drained their bank accounts and went out and, put $10,000 or $20,000 worth of credit on their credit cards. I mean, there's got to be somebody that did it, right? At least one moron in the planet. All right, anyway, I want to get back into the anti-gun control agenda that I have, I guess you could say. Yes, it's my agenda. It's a conspiracy. It's not really an agenda. I'm trying to get the message across. And I know I've had guests on this week, phenomenal guests. That's why I did a special extra 2 hours on Wednesday from, I guess Thursday morning from midnight to 2 a.m. after I interviewed Julia Davis, which, by the way, the interview with her is up on the archive channel, DTRH Radio Archives on YouTube. DTRH Radio Archives, all one word. And I just got the archive with her up there today. And I'm going to get the other, the show I did afterwards with her, I'll have up within the next, 12, 14 hours. I'll have that up there. And then this broadcast will be up there too. But if you want to check out the Julia Davis interview, go check it out. Commercial free over on the YouTube channel. Great interview. And I guarantee you, if you get the movie, you won't be disappointed. And I do support, I support Julia's movie. I support her. Check it out. Top priority. Go over to federaljack.com. I made a widget. You can just click and it'll bring you there. And no, I don't make any money from it. I'm not even getting, $1 or anything like that. I don't make 2 cents off this. I make nothing. I'm just supporting her because it's an incredible story. And what they did to her is criminal, to say the least. All right. Anyway, let's get back into the gun control argument from these morons. All right. And yes, I'm in a mood today. I'm not in a nice mood. I do not feel good. I'm in pain today. And all week I've been biting my tongue because like I said, I've had some amazing guests on. So I've been sitting here quietly watching people try to shred our Second Amendment rights, try to form the mass public opinion. And to a certain extent, they are having somewhat of an effect because there are morons who are turning guns in already in gun buyback programs. And a lot of this I see as the reaction, anyway, as being contrived. Not the people. I mean, maybe 1 or 2 planted people, but I mean the powers that shouldn't be are manipulating people, and they understand it. They have a good idea of how we're going to react. And by the way, that poll that you heard the CNN anchor gave where she was like 71% of Americans or 72% of Americans agree we need more restrictions. No. If that were true, then why are there record gun sales? If more than half the country thought that we needed tighter restrictions on guns, why are there record gun sales? What is it, 4 guys going out and just spending their life savings, selling their house and everything to live in a car? I mean, think about this. It's asinine and it's insane. You have to sit and actually listen to what they say. See, that's the problem. They don't expect people to actually go and do any of the research because they figure that if you hear a CNN anchor saying, 72% of America wants more restrictions and guns taken away and blah, 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 that you're just going to take it at face value and believe it and run with it. But it's crap. It doesn't. Think about it. If that many Americans, that's like almost three-quarters of the country wanted to ban guns, right? And wanted tighter gun restrictions and everything else, and wanted it harder to get guns because it's too freaking easy. Why are there so many people going out and buying guns? You really think it's only 25% of the country? Come on. Use your brains. People, you're better than that. Come on. You're way smarter than that. Don't buy into that crap. Don't believe what these people are trying to feed you. Guilt you into giving up your way to defend yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Amendment was never about hunting, I almost said fishing, hunting or sports shooting. It was never about any of that. It was about protecting yourself against a tyrannical government. And yes, civilians are supposed to have access to the same weapons as the military and the police. That's how you stop yourself from having a military coup, idiots. Look, the people that founded this country were much smarter than the morons that you see on CNN or Fox or MSNBC or any of these other so-called news outlets. And they were way smarter than any scumbags that are in office today. All right? They knew what they were doing. I can't stand when people talk about, they put the comma in there for a breath. Really? I mean, you can't win an argument. You just make things up, right? And you just throwing crap against the wall and seeing what'll stick. All right. I'm going to start this interview with Piers Morgan and Larry Pratt from Gun Owners of America. Now, I'm going to have to pause it for the break in about actually I might be able to fit it in. I don't know if I'll be able to fit it in. I might. Hopefully I'll get it in by the end of the first segment here, but the clip's about 11 minutes long, and I want you to hear the entire argument. I'm not going to not interrupt it because it's Piers Morgan. I'm going to interrupt him. Sorry, guys. So it's probably going to end up going over into the second segment, but I'm going to start it now. This is Piers Morgan and Larry Pratt talking about guns. And it's interesting because if you watch when Ventura's on, Piers doesn't talk to him the same way he talks to Larry Pratt. And maybe that's because Piers feels that, he's not intimidated by Larry Pratt. But I guarantee you he wouldn't talk this same way to Ventura. Okay? He wouldn't. And it's amazing. He had Ted Nugent on, and Ted Nugent, I think, was on tonight. And I saw the clip during the break, and he was arguing with Nugent, but it was a very different tone. Gee, I wonder why. Maybe because you're afraid Ted Nugent would punch you in the mouth? It's amazing how they treat people if they feel that they can try to quote unquote dominate them. But listen to how rude, how arrogant he is. The appeal to emotion. You'll hear it just in his tone. You're not being a professional, Piers. I thought you were a professional broadcaster. This is the same guy, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Let us not forget. He's connected to this phone hacking scandal where they actually hacked the phones of family members of people that died on 9/11. That's right. Scumbags. Piers Morgan is a scumbag. Okay? He's part of this whole hacking thing. They've hacked people's emails and phones and stuff. He's a dirtbag. He's not as upper crust as he would have you believe because I'm Piers Morgan. First of all, I'll just put it out there. I know it'll never happen because he won't, and CNN won't ever do it. But I would debate you any day of the week, you English tart, okay? And I would own you on your own show, on live television. You could throw out whatever ad hominem attacks. I would start dropping the trivium right there on you, okay? You would get buried. And I know about 4 or 5 other people right off the top of my head that would be right there alongside of me, whether or not it would be if you wanted to have a panel discussion or single-handedly any of these people that I know right off the top of my head. would be able to just bury you with facts. Okay, pal? You are pathetic. You will never debate anybody. You try to debate things, Piers, okay, or piss, whatever you want to call yourself. You try to debate. You have faux debates, okay? Don't even, you know what? I'm going to play the clip so I can get into it. Otherwise, I'll just rant on. I can't stand Piers Morgan. You people have no idea how bad I dislike this man. Because I see through him. He's a dark New World Order front man. He's just a spokesman because I'm refined. I'm from England. You know, I mean, who the hell are you to tell me anything? You're not even from this country, okay? Who the hell are you to dictate to anybody in this country what rules? Well, you should be like Britain and have a total gun ban where crime has gone down. No, that's a statistical lie, okay? You just lied. You know you lied. You're a liar. Liar, liar. Piers on fire.
Debate. Can you try and explain to me why you believe the answer to this is to arm teachers?
Well, the alternative is what we have seen, where people were reduced to waiting to be murdered without being able to do anything effective to protect themselves or the adults to protect the children. So it seems so obvious that since we have concealed carry laws in all of our country now, people can get a concealed firearm, and yet we have laws that say not in schools. And so in the very places that have been sought out by monsters, such as the murder of these adults and children, we're saying, no, we don't want you to be able to defend yourself. It's better that you just sit there and wait to be killed. And we find that morally incomprehensible and deeply disturbing that the desire to defend life has been so cast aside into whatever political correctness views guns as the ultimate evil. Evil's in our hearts, not in the guns.
Where would the teachers put the guns?
People can carry firearms in a concealed fashion, do it all the time. The laws provide for that.
Wait a minute. So in a school full of 600 children, including 5- and 6-year-olds, you would have teachers walking around armed, carrying the guns on them, where they may possibly fall and allow a 5-year-old to pick it up and possibly misfire it. Is that that's your...
I love the logic. The teacher is so inept that they're going to be walking around and the gun's just going to fall out, and the teacher's such an inept moron that they're not even going to notice, and the kid's going to pick it up and shoot himself or shoot kids or maybe shoot the teacher. So the teachers are smart enough, Piers, to teach the children, but they're not. There's this line where they're smart enough that they could actually teach, but they're not smart enough that you think that they can carry a weapon. Do you see what I'm saying? You're not making any sense, pal. Okay? You're not making any sense. So you think that teachers should be walking around with guns? Piers, let me educate you on something really quick. My father, who is still alive, and he is not that old, okay, when he was a young lad, they used to go hunting in the meadows with shotguns before class. He was maybe, I don't know, 10, 11, maybe even when he was a little younger. Did he go out and did they have mass school shootings? Did him and his friends walk in and kill people and, bring the shotguns into school and kill everybody? No. It was a common occurrence for kids to have their guns behind the seat of their pickup truck or whatever. They'd go hunting before they went to class. So, Piers, your argument is filled with ignorance right off the bat. We're 1 minute and 36 seconds into this thing. You have no idea about American culture or American history, but you'll be damned sure that you want to change it, huh? Why don't you do yourself a favor, pack yourself in a box, and go back over to merry old England? Because nobody here really wants your opinion, wants to hear what you have to say, and really cares what you have to say. You're lucky I'm even giving you any of my airtime. The only reason why I am is because I want to debate you, and I know that none of you chicken shit mainstream media scumbags would ever debate any of us. And yes, I said the S word. I've been behaving myself, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm allowed to slip one in once in a while.
people are walking around with guns outside of schools all over our country, and we don't have those kinds of problems. You can always play the what-if game.
But you have enormous problems in this country. You have over 300 million guns. You have 311 million people, many of which are children. You have more than a gun per adult in this country, and you have by far the worst rate of gun murder and gun crime of any of the civilized countries of this world. How can you possibly argue that the answer... I'm asking you this question. How can you argue that the logical... Please stop laughing.
Because you're saying, what is your argument? And then you won't let me make an argument.
I'm going to ask you the question, but if you could stop laughing...
You've already posited the question.
If you could stop...
Let me answer your question.
I haven't asked you the question.
Repeat
My question is this. If you could stop laughing for a moment. It is this. Why do you believe, given that you have 300 million guns in circulation and the worst gun crime rate of any of the civilized countries of the world, that more guns is the answer to less gun murder?
Because the problem occurs, sir, in those areas precisely where we have said no guns. The problem doesn't occur where the guns are allowed freely to be carried, to be used by people. There we have very low murder rates. We have lower murder rates in other parts of the country than even in Europe, than even where you come from. But what has created the problem in the United States is to say in cities, in schools, those are areas where we're not going to allow people to defend themselves.
What is the murder rate in Great Britain for the last 3 years? Do you know, from guns?
It's under 3 per 100,000, and in Fairfax County, where Gun Owners of America is located, it is actually 0.3 per 100,000, about a tenth of what it is in your vaunted English bucolic countryside. The fact of the matter is, with guns comes safety if the guns are in the hands of the good guys. And when you say the good guys can't have guns, the bad guys have a monopoly, and horrible things such as the shooting at the schools take place.
The AR-15, as we've now seen from the last 3 mass shootings in America, Aurora, the shopping mall in Oregon, and now at Sandy Hook School, is the preferred choice of weapon for disturbed young men who want to commit mass atrocity. You can fire hundreds of bullets at rapid speed if you have the right magazines. The President of the United States has indicated he wants to ban assault weapons like this. What is your view?
All right, I have to stop it there for a second and debate you. Again, Piers, you're wrong. Hundreds of bullets per minute. Well, any gun can fire hundreds of bullets per minute if you're really good at it. I mean, Piers, do you even know what you're talking about? It's an assault weapon. No. Assault weapons are fully automatic weapons that you'd see on the battlefield. Machine guns. We do not have access to those. We have maybe assault-style weapons, and part of that is our own fault because we've allowed the wrong nomenclature to be used. But they are not assault weapons. It is a semi-automatic rifle. But it looks just like the one you can see on the battlefield. So it looks like it. What about judging a book by its cover? I mean, they talk out of both sides of their mouth. And they get people to buy into it. And Piers, you're a master at it. You probably actually don't even know. Just like Susanna Hupp said to Brooke, whatever the hell her name is, from CNN. You know, I've talked to so many reporters, and they don't even have any idea that there's a difference between them. The other night, I played the audio clip, and you know what? I'll make sure I fit it in. Or at least I'll try to fit it in. It's about 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and it's a police officer explaining the difference between a semi-automatic rifle and a fully automatic assault rifle. You haven't been able to get fully automatic weapons like that since the 30s. I know it sounds odd that you were able to get them up till the 30s, but you were. I mean, people, this is the reality of things. Most people in this country have no idea about the history, the real history. So they just take whatever they're fed and they run with it. And that's why you have people running around they should repeal the Second Amendment, blah, 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 blah. You wouldn't be saying that if you had foreign force coming to your shores, okay? Oh, that'll never happen. Really? You know, one of the only things that kept the Japanese from invading the United States, the mainland, because they had plans to do it. They had plotted it out, different Japanese generals. They knew that it would be pointless because everybody in America was armed and the citizens would stand up and fight back. I bet you today is much different. I'm willing to bet that if there was somebody of that military might, like they equal power now, they would possibly contemplate invading the United States if they could. Because, I mean, who's going to stand up? Especially if the guns are all gone. Think about that for a second. Get rid of our guns. We don't want them. We're afraid of them. Now all the bad guys know that you have no way of protecting yourself. But the bad guys won't have guns, Popeye. Really? You believe that? It's been proven gun-free zones have higher gun crime problems because the only people that have guns are the bad guys. That's where these mass shootings happen. It's that simple. It's been said 1,000 times by 1,000 different people. And the argument gets labeled, oh, you just want your guns. You'll say anything to justify it. People are dumb. Being led to the slaughterhouse by dickheads like Piers Morgan and these other scumbag politicians that want to take your guns away. By the way, most of them, like Feinstein and them, have concealed weapons permits. Interesting. All right, we're going to finish up with Piers Morgan on the other side of the break. We'll be right back. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. Final segment. And yes, I've been slightly misbehaving tonight. As you all know, I've been trying to curb my mouth and behave myself, and I've been doing very well, actually. But tonight, I have not been. I have. It's been on the lighter side of it, but still, I'm just irritated. So, bear with me today. If anybody gets offended, you know, I'm not trying to offend anyone, but whatever it is, what it is. I have a tendency to piss people off sometimes, even when I'm not trying to. All right, I want to try to squeeze the rest of this. Larry Pratt going on Piers Morgan show. I won't say it was an interview because Piers didn't conduct himself like a professional. Of course, I know he's not, but he tries to put himself out there as the consummate English or British professional. British. He doesn't try to represent himself as English. You know, I'm British. Go look up what Christopher Everard says about the difference between English and British. I'll leave it at that because I can get sidetracked into it. I don't want to. I've been trying to bite my tongue and behave myself. So here, I want to play the rest of the interview.
I think we need to ban gun control laws that keep people from being able to protect themselves. The problem is not going to go away if we ban this or that gun. We've tried that. That doesn't work. Doesn't even work in England. You've had mass murders there. All over Europe there have been mass murders. The solution is for people to be able to defend themselves at the point of the crime and not wait for 20 minutes for the police to come after everybody's dead.
Mr. Pratt was an absolute lie. The gun murder rate in countries like Britain or Germany or Australia, who've all suffered massacres many years ago of similar nature, they are 35 people killed a year. Your country is...
Now, you see, he's trying to say, oh, that's a lie. No, Piers, you are lying to the audience. I played the audio for everybody twice from people in the UK, the statistics in the UK, and the statistics in Australia. Violent crime and gun crimes went up. Well, we only have 35. Okay, well, it doesn't matter if you only have 35. Back in the day, you might have only had 25. You actually have more now. Okay? See, Piers is just throwing out regular numbers. He doesn't want people to look at statistics. You notice when Larry Pratt started talking statistics before we went to break, the first couple minutes of the audio I played, when he started talking statistics, Piers interrupted him. And it was like, just give me a number. Because, see, that's what he needs. He needs a flat number so he can go 35 versus 400 and go, see, 400 is more than 35. You lose, I win. Well, that's a straw man argument. He doesn't want to talk statistics and the difference between, the percentages of the amount of people we have, per capita, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't want to talk about that. He doesn't want to get into the numbers because then things change. This is called a controlled argument, or at least Piers is trying to control it. And Larry Pratt, I got to give him credit, he is controlling himself. Dude, I don't know what I would have done. I probably would have lost my mouth. Eventually I would have been like, are you going to keep interrupting me? Larry Pratt did a very good job of behaving himself. I'll give him credit.
Your murder rate is lower than ours. That is true.
Lower? It's 35 against 12,000.
Your violent
in Australia,
crime rate,
they had a massacre,
violent crime rate is higher than ours, as is the violent crime rate in Australia. America is not the Wild West that you are depicting. We only have the problem in our cities and unhappily in our schools, where people like you have been able to get laws put on the books that keep people from being able to defend themselves. I honestly don't understand why you would rather have people be victims of a crime than be able to defend themselves. It's incomprehensible.
You're an unbelievably stupid man, aren't you?
It seems to me that you're morally obtuse. You seem to prefer...
Yes. Larry Pratt 1, Piers Morgan 0. You're a stupid man. I mean, that's an ad hominem attack. He's just, there's no argument there. He comes back with, you're a stupid man, and Larry did not lose it. He says, you're morally obtuse. My new favorite saying. Well done, Larry Pratt.
Being a victim to being able to prevail over the criminal element. And I don't know why you want to be the criminal's friend.
What a ridiculous argument. You have absolutely no coherent argument whatsoever. You don't give a damn, do you, about the gun murder rate in America?
You see what Piers Morgan is doing? He realizes that Larry Pratt is dominating him in the argument. Piers is not stupid. He's not stupid. He's well educated. He knows what he's doing. You see what he's doing is he realizes that Larry Pratt is winning. That's why he's throwing. You see how he amped up? He just got all pissed off all of a sudden. That's not him really getting mad. He's playing a game. I mean, this is a game. They know what they're doing. And he's trying to throw Larry Pratt off, and Larry Pratt's not falling for it. So now what he's doing is he's going through the list, like a laundry list of what you would do. And he's running down to the last SOP, and it's switch the game up. When you're caught, switch it up. When you catch your spouse cheating on you, right? Anybody that's ever caught them cheating, usually what happens, they start blaming you, right? They start projecting the negativity that they feel about themselves and what they're doing wrong on you, right? Oh, you're screwing somebody, blah, blah, blah. Usually that person is the one that's doing the cheating, right? That's what he's doing. Piers is telling, sorry for my throat, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. It's been scratchy for about a week and a half. Piers is telling Larry Pratt he's projecting what he himself is actually doing onto Larry Pratt and then attacking it to try to get people to think that that's what Larry Pratt is doing when he himself in reality has no real argument and is the one that is whipping out ad hominem attacks and straw man arguments. You, Piers Morgan, are committing logical fallacies right on air and have no real argument at all.
You don't actually care. All you care about
seems to me that facts don't bother you, do they, Mr. Morgan?
You would like to see... But
facts don't seem to... They bounce right off of your head.
Let's deal with some facts.
You're speaking oblivious to what we do know is that when you go to an area in the United States where guns are freely available, readily able to be carried legally, there you find our lowest murder rates, lower than the murder rates in Europe. You go to our cities where we have cracked down on guns and people can't defend themselves, and that's where the criminals have a field day.
How many guns did Mrs. Lanza have in her home?
I don't know how many she had, and that really is not the point.
Well,
the
let me enlighten
somebody
you.
with
She had 6 guns, including 4 assault rifles. And what happened was her deranged son, who clearly was very disturbed.
Her evil son.
It doesn't matter what you call him.
We shouldn't be. Well, I think it matters, because if you believe and understand that there is evil in the world, then you don't try as your first line of defense to solve it psychiatrically. You protect yourself with a gun.
Let me finish my thread there, Mr. Pratt. So you have an evil young man who is living at home, clearly with serious troubles. And his mother has 6 firearms in that house, including the weapons that he used to murder 26 people, including 20 children aged 5. You are quite happy about that situation, are you? And you would be quite happy if there are many more people in his position in homes.
Now, you see, Piers changed what he was doing, and you have to go back, and for time I won't do it, but if you go to Federal Jack, I have the full video up there. It's Larry Pratt destroys Piers Morgan on Connecticut shooting. And I'll tell you where we're at right now. Mark the time down. It's 7 minutes and 41 seconds into it. Rewind it about 30 seconds and listen, maybe a minute, and listen to his original argument before Larry Pratt kind of interrupted him. Piers was actually going in a different direction. Now he's building a different straw man where he's saying, you're happy that he killed those kids and that those guns killed those kids. You see, again, straw man argument. He's trying to say that Larry Pratt and gun owners are happy that little kids died. That's just ridiculous argument, but that's not where he was going. The original argument was, how safe was Lanza's mother, the gun owner, because he killed her with her own guns. That's where he was going, but he changed. He got sidetracked, and he decided to change the argument into this straw man and attack Pratt with that. Well, to that argument, I say, well, Piers, if you know that much about what's going on, and you know that much about the case, then you know for a fact that she was shot in the head 4 times while she was asleep. This is according to the police. And according to the official report, the mother was killed while she was sleeping. So she couldn't have put up a fight. She was asleep. And I don't care who you have or what kind of protection you have. If you're sleeping and you get shot in the head while you're sleeping, you can't defend yourself, Piers. It doesn't matter if someone has a gun, a knife, a bat, a pipe, a plastic bag, poison. If you're sleeping and can't defend yourself, they're going to get you anyway. Whether or not she had a gun in the house, the kid could have used a meat cleaver. Again, anything. Okay? So he was going to go down that road, and perhaps he realized that was not a winnable argument, so he quickly changed to another straw man, which was now saying that Larry Pratt wants, you're happy that he had guns and he was able to kill children. I mean, that's a retarded statement. But see, that shows that these people have no real argument. So when there's no real argument, logical fallacies, ladies and gentlemen, you need to learn logical fallacies. The trivium. You'll see right through this garbage. You'll see what it is. You'll see it for what it is, which is crap. Crap that you wouldn't even keep on the bottom of your shoe. Don't swallow the garbage that this little British tart is trying to send to you. You shouldn't have guns. F you, Piers.
Around America, where there are that number of firearms which could be used by mentally unstable people.
Americans with firearms in their homes typically have them locked in a safe, as I do, and as most gun owners certainly do. The fact that this woman did not and knew that her son was unstable reflected poorly on her judgment, and unhappily she paid very dearly for her poor judgment. But that's not the reason that you should be able to come down on everybody else who's a law-abiding gun owner who uses good sense, and to say we've got to pay for that person's stupidity, for their shortcomings, that's just not going to wash. We're not going to let it happen, Mr. Morgan.
I'm sure you're not going to try and let it happen. You see, my argument is not about the Americans' right to defend themselves in their home with a firearm. That's not the argument that I'm trying to put out there. My argument is the same as the argument that Senator Feinstein said, that the president endorses, that I believe many, many Americans now believe following this tragedy, which is that there is absolutely no use and no justification for these AR-15 type assault weapons.
On the contrary,
let me finish,
how can you say such a thing?
Let me finish my sentence.
Korean merchants in Los Angeles use these kinds of firearms to protect their lives and their businesses. And for you to say there's no useful purpose for these guns, that's just completely wrong.
Okay, let me finish my sentence. There are these assault weapons which have been used now in movie theaters, in shopping malls, in elementary schools to murder many, many Americans, and now 25-year-old children.
All right, Piers. Well, with that argument, knives have been used to murder people, plastic bags have been used to murder people, baseball bats have been used to murder people, cars have been used to murder people, pencils, pens, feet, hands. Did you know that besides guns, hands and feet are like two of the other top ways that things that are used to kill people? Hands and feet. Well, I guess that means we have to have a ban on hands and feet. So look, why don't you lead the way, right? You want to be such this outstanding citizen, right? Because you can get behind this. Me and Senator Feinstein and President Obama all agree. Well, that's great. You're all a bunch of three douchebags. Feinstein's a hypocrite. Obama's a hypocrite. He's got armed security guards around him. He's got Marines and Secret Service with guns and that are trained in hand-to-hand combat. So I guess he doesn't have to worry about carrying a pistol. And when he gets out as president, he gets Secret Service protection. I think it's for like 8 or 12 years that the ex-president's got. I can't remember the exact number. It's like 8 or 12 years that they get presidential protection for them and their family. So he'll have Secret Service protection for like the next 10 years. He has nothing to worry about. He doesn't have to worry about a gun or a pistol in his pocket. He doesn't have to worry about someone breaking into his house. And he's obviously in charge of the tyrannical government. He's part of the crew, right? So he doesn't have to worry about going to camp. And Morgan, he's a useful idiot, I guess, to them. But to me, he's a useless idiot. But here, let me finish this up.
And they are armed with magazines, 30 at a time here, 100 in Aurora in a movie theater. And your only answer, Mr. Pratt, to people that want to get rid of both the magazines and these assault weapons, if I'm not mistaken, is to let everybody else have similar weapons. Is that the solution to America's gun murder problem?
I would challenge you to go and tell the Korean merchants who survived the riots in Los Angeles, sorry you had those firearms.
Can you answer my
saved
question?
your lives. I'm answering your question. I wish you could understand it, because you're talking against self-defense. Would you like to see people being able to protect
teachers armed?
And you don't want to hear it. That's why you keep interrupting.
No, I don't mind hearing it. I think it's complete nonsense, but I don't mind hearing it. You would like to see...
tend to do that, don't they?
I'll stop being so facetious. I just want you to answer this one question. Post what happened...
I love how you stop being so facetious. Those in glass houses should not throw stones, piss.
Happened at Sandy Hook. Your answer to this problem of repeated use of this weapon with these high-capacity magazines is to continue letting Americans buy them with impunity and to not concern yourself with these mass shootings. Is that right?
The Second Amendment means what it says, and meanwhile, you want to continue laws against self-defense, laws that prohibit self-defense, laws that prohibit teachers and other faculty, other members of the administration in schools from being able to defend themselves if they have a concealed carry permit. The laws prohibit them right now. We have been lobbying against those laws since they were put on. We will continue to do so, pointing out that that is where the problem is. And for you to support them means that you're really blind to the role that plays in enabling murderers to operate with impunity.
Yeah, I know why sales of these weapons have been soaring in the last few days. It's down to idiots like you. Mr. Pratt, thank you for joining me.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody who bought a gun in the past few days, even if you're a Democrat and you're worried that they're going to take guns away or whatever, and you decided to prepare yourself, Piers Morgan says you are an idiot. If you want to own a gun, you're an idiot. So I guess we're all idiots because who owned guns in World War II, right, Piers? And stopped the Japanese from invading. And if you don't believe me, go look up what Admiral Yamamoto said, the architect of the invasion of Pearl Harbor. Go look what he said. Because there was talk of invading the mainland on the west coast of the United States, and he said it would be suicide. There is and I'm paraphrasing a bit here, and you can go look it up, but it's almost verbatim. It would be insane because there would be a gun behind every blade of grass. So, and they knew back then that not only did we have the guns, but we also had the intent. See, we're being culled. You can't have the cows and the calves get slaughtered if you got a pissed off bull with big sharp horns. So you got to take the bull away first, or at least take the bull's horns away. Then you can do whatever you got to do. It's much easier to go after the cow and the calf and the bull itself. Really quick. Here is that clip from the police officer I was telling you about, explaining the difference between fully automatic and semi-automatic, and an assault rifle and a semi-automatic rifle.
The confusion and misunderstanding over firearms is a result of the mislabeling. I have firearms here on the table. I have a fully automatic assault rifle, and many times the press likes to use those words, trigger words if I might add, assault rifle, military, fully automatic. This is a fully automatic assault rifle. This is banned, it's prohibited, and limited almost virtually to police and military use. A citizen cannot go into the store and purchase this. And yet, this is usually one that's displayed on your television set. These are usually the terms used by the news media. Then they'll pick up a semi-automatic firearm. This is a semi-automatic firearm. The primary difference is that the assault rifle, the fully automatic firearm, you pull a trigger once, and it will repeatedly fire and will continue to fire until all rounds are expended. This is a semi-automatic firearm. You fire once with each pull of the trigger. If you notice, these two firearms look alike. They look very much alike. They operate entirely differently. This one is legal, semi-automatic. This one is an illegal, fully automatic. They look alike. Here, I have a hunting rifle. This is also semi-automatic, and one used for hunting game. This also, being semi-automatic, fires one round with each pull of the trigger. If you notice, these two do not look alike, but they function alike. They are virtually the same, only cosmetically different. It's important to keep that in mind. A person will say, this is fully automatic. The uninformed, most of the time the press, will refer to this as a fully automatic assault rifle and this as a fully automatic assault rifle. Please, by definition, this is the assault rifle. This is the only one that's fully automatic. It's prohibited for purchase in the United States except by police and law enforcement.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. And I played that the other night, but I wanted to try to squeeze that in there again. So, look, it's out there. The reality is out there. The truth is out there. Don't buy into the garbage. And you know what? I myself have to stop saying assault rifle and assault weapon because I've even, we all do it. We've all done it. We're all guilty of it. There's a lot of stuff that we have to change in our nomenclature. We have to change the nomenclature. We have to change our verbiage. And if we do that, that'll help clear up some of the misunderstandings of things. I mean, people are just ignorant to stuff, and it's up to us to educate them. It's important to educate people the difference between an assault rifle and a semi-automatic rifle that looks like an assault rifle. Cosmetics. These are the same people that'll tell you, don't judge a book by its cover. But you're judging a book by its cover. Like the Indians, I said it again. Like the native people used to say. They speak with forked tongue. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of time. And I'm out of here. But the end of the world came and went. We're all still alive. I'll see you all again Sunday. Johnny English is joining me 5 to 7. Don't miss it. Stay tuned for Mae Russell. I'm out of here.